The 95 remaining percent goes directly to the seller. There's no middleman and there's no other fees involved. The market we're competing on is quite large. In the US alone, with retail sales ever increasing and technology only increasing, in 2014 we're expected to hit about $200 billion in sales for just e-commerce retail. If you combine this with prototypes, new handmade goods, and so-called inventions, it totals well over $1 trillion. Of course, we would be very happy to get just 1% of this market. Additionally, I thought a good fact would be to present is that 20,000 new businesses are launched every month. And this is a pretty significant step for us in that we're able to reach out into all directions worldwide to these businesses. We already have sellers from England, France, Australia, China, Israel, New Zealand. I just checked the website. We have sellers now from Thailand and also Germany. And it's only increasing. How we've managed to tap into this market is also quite remarkable. Through 7 months of research and extensive interviews and other reaching out methods, we've managed to compile a database of about 700 individuals and businesses. Of those, we already have 100 firm commitments. We already have about 45 of them within the first week starting to upload their inventory to the website. And finally, another market we also hope to tap into is the so-called handmade goods marketplace. And for those not familiar with Etsy.com, it's a very popular website where entrepreneurs can upload especially jewelry, accessories, and clothing items. So we hope to replicate that on the opposite spectrum, focusing more towards technology-based electronics, gadgets, and consumer goods. Now, the competition is pretty diverse and spread out. There are plenty of websites where you can create your own storefront, but it's also very costly. In terms of putting your products in traditional outlets like ThinkGeek.com or even in Best Buy, it takes a lot of money and a lot more, a higher scale manufacturing as opposed to smaller scale manufacturers. So if you only have 100 items, there's no chance you'll be able to get into one of these big stores. How we combat that is we provide sellers with the tools they need, like I said, to get their products up and in the web where they'll profit, where they'll flourish. Unlike Etsy.com, we curate the market ourselves and we focus on the highest quality goods. And unlike other traditional websites like Quirky.com, which provide entrepreneurs a place to design their goods and get their designs manufactured, we don't take a percentage or own any of the businesses that are being uploaded. So we think we're a lot better because we combine all these aspects of a traditional retailer with a marketplace with a storefront that sellers need. In terms of our financials, I'm happy to say that we've already broken even with the money we've won today. We've been working on this for over 6 months now, and we launched just last week, as I said, and we were able to do this well for under $10,000, or roughly $10,000. In terms of our revenue model, we expect we expect around 10,000 products to be available for sale within the first month. With our current rate of growth, this is very reasonable, if not a lower estimate. And also, we expect that to translate into 1,000 unique sellers. Now, when you combine all the costs of hosting fees and transaction costs, assuming a small percentage of the products are actually sold, which we're hoping and believe they will be, roughly $150,000 translates into direct revenue to us. And so by year 3, this correlates to about $2 million in revenue with a 1 to 2% market share of the invention or niche good marketplace. Before I conclude, I want to talk a little about the team so the investors or people can get a better idea of who we are and our background. I'm a master's student at Syracuse University. I spent my undergrad at Cornell focusing on communication and computer interaction. We have a technical co-founder. We have 5 interns, 2 which specialize in database management, 2 that focus in social media. We have a PR intern that we're taking on, and we also have a PR firm that I mentioned that we'll be working with in the fall. And finally, we also have a 24/7 support staff. So we're constantly iterating and updating the website as we speak. Now, I don't know how many products will be uploaded today, but I do know that we will have these products. And I'm very excited because they're not products you can find anywhere else. We're committed to inventions and entrepreneurs much like the people in this room here. and we hope to provide a storefront and a marketplace for anyone with an idea to sell their work. Thank you very much.
I'm just curious about your curating process.
Sure. So in terms of the functionality of the website, it's really simple. If we like a product, we can feature it on our homepage. We have featuring capabilities with both our blog, our homepage, featured seller pages, as well as a newsletter that we send out to our members. So we control what everyone sees. If there are products that we don't like, it's specifically stated in our user agreement and policies that we will remove the product or ask them to take it down.
Do you physically test the product? I mean, do you buy it? How do you?
Well, no, we don't. Eventually, we would like to do that. We would like to have a like a review process or a more formal review process. Now, it's really based off of PayPal status. So if you have a acceptable PayPal account, we'll take you. And if we are essentially, with the 700 people we've reached out to, we are curating it from the get-go. As we grow, and we've already had sellers come to us that we don't know, we will make it a more formalized thing.
How do sellers find you? How do buyers find you?
So sellers is pretty straightforward. We've reached out to 700 people, and we have extensive relationships with blogs, which will be curating our pages. It means tech blogs, tech writers will be featuring us, talking about the products on our website, talking about our website. So in terms of getting sellers, we've been trying to avoid the chicken and egg dilemma. In terms of translating that to buyers, once we reach this critical mass, hopefully by June, where we have about 1,000 products, we're really able to leverage that into attracting customers, whether it be through our PR campaigns and the PR firm that we're working with, or through targeted search engine optimization. We're already in the top 10 lists on Google for buy unique products or sell unique products. We're really focused on social media. We have 2 full-time social media experts, students working with us. So a lot of it is going to be a mix between word-of-mouth marketing and then really targeted advertising campaigns online. And we also do cross-promotion with websites where many of our sellers want to either promote through ad banners on our website, or vice versa, where we can feature our work on other pages.
Since you're handling many unproven, untested products, how are you going to handle the consumer acceptance and if there are problems with some of the products that you're selling on the website?
Well, the brilliant thing about the PayPal system that we've set up is that all transactions can easily be refunded. And so if there are any issues or buyers unhappy, we have full control of that, and then we can issue the refund. I think that answers your question in terms of keeping customers happy.
Well, how do you screen the products coming on, or is it just an open market? I mean, obviously, it's not good for your reputation if you have products coming on that don't work.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's your process? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, well, as I kind of mentioned before, in the way that we curate it, we can really control what people see. So a lot of the feedback we've been getting from sellers is that they want it to be even simpler to upload. And right now, you really just need to put in your PayPal email and send us your links and your pictures and your information about your business. I don't really know how much more we can do, especially if products are one of a kind or handmade or prototypes. We can't really review them per se.
When someone buys something off your website, they're buying off your website or off the seller's storefront on your website?
They're buying on our storefront. So right now, we're just working on the customization feature. So when you go to Rooter.com, you'll see a page, and you'll see all these different products. Like several of these products are up right now, if not most of them. And when you click on that page, you can go to you can go to the individual business's storefront. You buy it through us, but the transaction is direct. So we're just a middleman that we take the percentage out of each sale.
So ultimately, the product supplier is responsible for fulfillment?
Yeah, sorry, we don't do any drop shipping. Everything is direct business to customer transaction. And all that information is provided through the PayPal transactions, much like on eBay or any other e-commerce website.
Any final questions, judges?
Great. Thanks, we're very excited and honored, especially considering the great competition. My name is Marshall Cox, and I'm representing RadLab, a company we're starting to commercialize a solution for wasteful radiator-based heating systems. They first introduced you to our team. I'm a PhD candidate at Columbia University in electrical engineering. Our lab is called the Columbia Laboratory for Unconventional Electronics. This is our icon on the side, trying to illustrate the fact that we take disparate technologies and integrate them to novel systems to solve real-world problems, like the radiator problem. John Serrett is a PhD candidate in the same lab. He's right over here. He's an established New York City hardware hacker. He's been featured in Engadget, amongst other places. He's an expert in do-it-yourself electronics, rapid prototyping, and energy harvesting. Our final member is Professor John Knissis. He's the PI of our lab. He is a great role model. I met him at QDivision, a startup out of MIT, where he was a consultant for the founding of that company, and I was the first non-founding employee, so we both have a little bit of startup experience. So what's the problem? The problem is that radiator-heated apartments are notorious for poor temperature control. And I've lived in a bunch of apartments over the last 6 years that all have this problem. And it's basically, there's many reasons for this problem. In particular, apartment heating efficiency varies dramatically. So if the insulation on the windows, for example, is bad, that apartment will cool faster than others and heat up slower than others. So that in combination with the fact that many buildings require a minimum temperature for apartments to be habitable. So if one apartment building has one apartment that has really bad insulation, that apartment's going to work as hard as it has to keep that apartment at that minimum temperature. And as a result, a lot of the other apartments get overheated, and that's extremely wasteful. So the combination of these factors result in uncomfortable tenants and unnecessarily high and wasteful energy bills. When we started thinking about this problem, I decided to take the temperature of my apartment over time. This is a real graph. It's not made up. It's really uncomfortable. It's always like this, and I just thought it was something that I had to live with. So why do buildings have such problems keeping temperatures consistent? And this is the reason. This diagram will change depending on the heat transfer fluid we're talking about, but this is consistent. This is pretty low concentration. The boiler room heats up that transfer fluid, heat travels out. These radiators are attached to that heating line in parallel. And these radiators are balanced when they're first installed, trying to equalize the amount of heat getting to each radiator in each apartment. This balance shifts over time, as well as, if the insulation on one apartment becomes not ideal, that balance will then be broken. So, example, apartment B has bad insulation, and since they're all getting the same amount of heat at the same time, apartment B takes a lot longer to heat up, and apartment C and apartment A are vastly overheated by the time that apartment B gets that right temperature. You can rebalance these systems; it's always an option, but it's difficult and risky. It's hard to do. It costs a lot, and a lot of these radiators are so old that if you try to play with those balancing valves, more often than not, they break. So we started thinking about solutions to this problem. We wanted to think about, is there a way that we can take a radiator heating system and convert it to be more like a modern heating system with temperature control and feedback control? And the critical thing that you need to be able to do that is to control the amount of heat coming from that radiator into the room. So radiators heat rooms via convection. They heat up air. That air rises, cold air comes in and gets heated in turn. And to shut that down, we just put an enclosure over it, just a big insulated enclosure. So now when the air heats up, it cannot rise, so that heat's contained in that enclosure and contained within the radiator. Clearly we want to be able to bring that heat into the room. To do that, we designed a control system that measures the temperature of the room, measures the temperature of the radiator, and when the room is cold and the radiator is hot, it turns on a fan which has access to the top of that enclosure, pulling hot air out into the room and heating it up. When the temperature hits the right when the apartment hits the right temperature, that fan stops and you shut down that heat transfer and you shut down. The apartment stays at that nice temperature. This is the data of my apartment after we built this and installed it. This data was taken directly after this first data. You see that it approached the set point of 70 degrees and stayed there for 4 days, which was amazing. It was way more comfortable than I imagined it could be. This particular apartment here, you can see that the temperature did drop, and that's because these apartment buildings, the boilers run on a duty cycle, a number of hours every day, to keep the apartment at the temperature, which has historically been shown to do that.